how do you bring somebody in that's maybe never moved before, or coming in with pain or frightened or whatever? How do you transform that into self-confidence and strength?
Let me introduce you to Suzi Lonergan, who is a dancer, an actress, a choreographer, a Pilates specialist, incredible teacher, and a wonderful, wonderful wildlife photographer. I'm so proud of her. You started out as a dancer, and now you come into Roy London's class. Towards the end of you being in Roy's, you decided you wanted to start a workout business.
So what happened was, I went to London, and then I came back and...
Right, you studied at Lambda.
Right. And then I came back and I was working. My first husband and I got into personal training, and he was a major actor from New York. He came out here in Equus, and so it was really his friend Brad Blaisdell, who we just lost, who said to Mark Bahanian, you know how to do all this workout stuff, because Mark had a beautiful body and he was always in shape. He was always taking dance classes and always really taking good care. And so Brad was getting a lot of work. He needed to know what to do to get his body in shape. And it was then at that time that Ted Danson had done Body Heat, and I think he was just about to do Cheers and stuff like that. And so he asked Mark to start working with him. And then somebody introduced Mark to all these people in Beverly Hills, like one person, and then that person just literally opened the faucet. And so Mark would work out the men, and then I started working out their wives. So that's what started this business in the 80s of, there was a couple of people doing personal training, like Body by Jake, and there was other stuff, a couple of, but nothing like today.
Right.
And so we got enough money to put money down for a house. I mean, it was a lot more secure and lucrative, and it was every day. And my first client, I got $25 for the hour, which was a huge amount of money. I mean, I was making like $5 an hour, being an aerobics instructor at that point, because you would do dance gigs or whatever, but I mean, you'd get a union job, and that would be a week, and that would be, and then 6 months later you get another union job. I mean, you didn't work all the time at that point. This was a lot of money. And so we saved a lot, and we bought our first house after our first year of being married. And, but it was not really what I wanted to do. It felt too far away from dance, but it was great money. So then my dancer friends and I heard about this teacher, Romana Krzyzanowska, who was Joseph Pilates' protege. And there were several proteges still alive, and she was one of them. And there was sort of a generation, under her that was around, the Ron Fletchers and Stefan and all of that. But we were sort of like the next bunch, and so when we took her workshop, we were like, oh my God, it was another one of those falling in love moments, where this woman who was, I think, in her 70s, 77 even at that point, and had been a Balanchine dancer. I mean, her story was fascinating. She was married to this Peruvian, practically prince, who was then murdered. So then she came back to New York and got, and Pilates put her to work. I mean, that's a whole other story. But anyway, Romana was just one of the best teachers I had ever had, because she taught from pure kindness. And she really taught me that encouragement and kindness and finding a way over here, that you're the guide. It's not like most of my teachers were.
And that's what you're great at. And you've learned it well, because you are so encouraging and so gentle and so kind. as an instructor?
Well, I mean, from dance and all of that, it was mostly people yelling at you, and what do you, and doing that whole kind of number, putting you down a lot of time. Not always. I mean, certainly, I had great teachers and they didn't, I wasn't from that, where they would beat me or anything like that, generation. But there was definitely times where you would be very discouraged as a dancer from not getting a gig that your best friend got, but I felt like I could dance. But, there was a whole bunch of things.
Right.
So anyway, with Romana, how she taught me and how she taught all of us was from this place of generosity and kindness, and how do you bring somebody in that's maybe never moved before or coming in with pain or frightened or whatever, how do you transform that into self-confidence and strength? And so you as a teacher, and it comes from experience too, but how do you use your intuition and of course your tools and your knowledge and experience, but your intuition to get into that person's body and feel what they feel in order to really give them the class that brings them, to that next level of where they're out of pain and they're, and more secure inside themselves, so that's kind of how I feel like it makes the world a better place when they can walk out feeling better than when they walked in. And so maybe they'll do a good thing for somebody out there, if they're not in pain, because pain can also put you in a cranky mood and you lose your patience and stuff like that. But when you get out of pain and when you have that kind of self-confidence, you can maybe give that to others too.
So then once you made that transition from just working people out to getting into Pilates, what made you want to do a DVD? Because you have a DVD.
Right. So from going to people's homes, that was getting to be kind of a bummer. And so with Pilates, all the equipment was at my house. So then everybody had to come to me, and I loved that. And then the DVD kind of came about, like I thought about it for a really long time before I did it. But it was really like when I got divorced, and Vincent said to me, he looks at me, he goes, "We're going to do your video now." And so what that did, because when you go through a divorce, it's like a death. I mean, it's horrible, and you feel like a piece of your body is gone because this person has been so much part of your life. And it's somebody you love, but, it didn't work for whatever reason. So what that did is it forced me to really decide what did I want this to look like, because there really wasn't, like, Pilates was still a word that was not mainstream yet.
Right.
And so, and also Pilates
was avant-garde at that time.
Well, dancers knew about it, and because Balanchine had sent all of his injured dancers to Joseph Pilates, and that's how the dance community, as well as the neighborhood playhouse. I mean, Katharine Hepburn went there, Marlon Brando went there, Martha Graham actually studied with Pilates. So all these incredible actors would study with Pilates. So there were certain groups of people, the ladies that would go to the Russian tea room, and their Chanel suits.
In New York.
Yeah.
Pilates was out of New York.
Well, he was born in Germany. Then that's a whole story, which we can talk about if you want, but whatever. Anyway, so I really had to think about what I wanted to put on screen. And for me, I felt like the modifications were so important to show in the video, or in the now DVD. And how do I do that? I mean, do I do each one? So you have to, you have to imagine it, you have to create it in your mind. It goes through 100 different transformations. But we decided to do it. And so I went to New York. I decided, okay, modifications. I went to New York. I hung out with Romana for a couple of weeks. I kept asking her questions. Okay, for, the hundreds, what would, I want to make sure that this is the right modification for knees, back, and neck. So we really went through for neck, back, and knee issues or problems, delicate areas, what would be the right modification, because you're only going to do one per exercise, so which one would be the best one.
Right.
So we really worked on that, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. And so I put everybody in different colors, and each person represented a different modification for back, neck, or knee issues. I did it for just a normal, healthy body. And so when I showed Romana the finished product, she loved it, which was huge, as well as the person that was the head of the Pilates Guild of New York, Sean Gallagher. And, they both really, really liked it. And then Pilates lost the Pilates name became generic. Right as I was going into print, so I could actually put the Pilates name on my DVD. So it was really kind of one of the early ones. It was then that Mari Windsor became pretty well known. It was Mari that really catapulted the Pilates name. It was through her videos and her brilliant teaching, and she was very supportive to me. And I mean, we were dancer friends together. Way back in the day, we were dancer friends. And so she had a Pilates studio, but sort of her own thing. And then we all got certified together. And then she brought in all these different celebrities in her studio. And then they and then that turned into a huge business.
You got certified through UCLA, was that it?
No,
I remember you.
Oh, that was personal training.
Oh, okay.
That was personal training. No, I got certified with Romana.
Okay.
I went to Romana's studio and stood next to her and taught her students while she was teaching one of her other students, and I was just teaching next to her for weeks.
Wow.
And that was how I got certified. It was pretty awesome.
And you're still teaching Pilates.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fantastic.
I love it.